California dreaming about you.
Hey guys, SimCoder here, and today we are going to implement a following system into our Snapchat application, and it will be rather simple. Mainly the logic, we'll have to write a bunch of code for this, but the logic is truly simple. So let's get right into it, and I'm going to open up our Firebase database right here, and I'm going to emulate a follower here, just show you how the architecture of the database works. So let's imagine that the user 1 has followed the user 2. So in that case, a child would be created with the name following, for example, where we'll have the user 2 ID, and we'll set this value to true. So it will be just like this, and if the user 1 followed the user 3, then it will be user 3 its ID and set the value to true, just the same, and it would add them all under the following child. And if a user is removed, we simply delete this child, for example. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to delete all of this, and it is quite simple, so let's get right on with it. I'm going to open up our Snapchat clone app project, better yet. I'm going to Java, and open up. We can put this on the camera fragment, just not beside, but on top of the fragment. So let's open up the fragment camera XML. Okay, fragment camera XML, and I'm going to create a linear layout that's going to contain both the logout and the find users button. And this button will allow us to go to a new activity that we'll create in a second. So width will be match parent and height will be wrap contents. Let's place the logout button in here, and we'll do one more thing, which is to set the width to 0 dp. And as you can see, it disappears because the width is 0, literally. And what we are going to do is set the weight to 1. And what this will allow us to do is to make two buttons with exactly the same width, because they both will contain the same weight. But even though the width is 0, this width really doesn't matter, because what's important is the weight. And you'll see it working in a second. Let me just copy and paste that here, because the find users button will be equal. Let's just put up an ID of find users, and as you can see, they both have the same width, even though their width is 0, but the weight is the most important thing in here. So let's just define an orientation of horizontal, and that's it. I'm actually going to place, no, we can select this. Actually, it makes more sense to have find users on the right and logout button on the left. So that's okay. Let's go into the camera fragments, and in here we'll just have a quite simple on-click listener, just to go to the find user activity. So let's create it right now. Let's go up top and just copy and paste one of these, and instead of capture we'll have find users or find user. The ID is find users. I gave it users, so let's place an S there. Okay, and just can copy and paste again the logout, but instead of logout it will be find users. And let's create this function really quickly. Alt enter enter, and we can go up here, and I'm going to copy and paste that to the bottom because it is a non-essential function, so it makes a lot more sense to have it in the bottom of the activity. And now before making an intent to go to the find users, we must create the find users activity, obviously. So let's go right in here, right click, new activity, and empty activity. So the activity will be called find users activity. Okay. Okay, everything is done. And now we can go into the camera activity, and you can simply copy and paste the intent from the logouts, but remove the flags and simply change, instead of splash screen, put find users activity. And this will take us straight to our find users activity, which is exactly what we want. So yeah, we can go right ahead inside here. We can delete the camera fragment. For now, I believe we won't need it, and the fragment camera as well. So yeah, now I'm going to take care of the layout for the find users. And this layout will contain an edit text where you can type in the user's name, and actually let's do the user's email, because the user's email is the user's email is unique to each and every single user, and user's name may not be. So let's try the user's email, and you can change it if you want to, but I believe it is better since we haven't implemented an unique user name. And so as I was saying, we'll have an edit text up top where the user can type in the user's email, then a button to search, which will force a search, and then a recycler view down here where all the names that have something in relate to the email that the user typed in here will appear. So in the case of our database, we have user1@gmail.com, user2@gmail.com, and user3@gmail.com. If we type user, just user, into the edit text, and then we search, then the user2 and the user3 will appear because they both contain user in the beginning. But if we specify it even further and say user2@gmail, for example, then only the user2 will appear. So that's it. It will be quite simple. Let's just change the constraint layout to a linear layout. Let's close this page right here so that you can see it better. Let's set the orientation to vertical. Okay. And now we'll need a linear layout for the edit text and button, which will stay in the same line. So let's say linear layouts with match parent, height, wrap content. Let's say orientation horizontal. Okay. Then we'll place the edit text, and it will be 0 dp. We'll use weight again to make a coherent width for everything. So the weight, the good thing about it is that no matter the screen, the ratio between the elements that you have in there will always be the same, and that's the reason why I like to use it a lot. So let's say height wrap content. Actually, let's no, wrap content is better. Then let's say hint, and the hint is a grayed out text that appears to the user so that he knows what to do with the edit text. Find users. by email. Let's specify it even further. And yeah, let's just, okay, we can leave it like this. And let's just specify the weight, as I was saying. Weight.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Weight 1. Okay. Now we can do the button. And the button will be wrap content, wrap content. The ID will be search. And text search as well. And I forgot the ID for the edit text. Let's take care of it right now. So ID, let's call it input. Okay, that's as easy as that. You can see it right here works, how it works, and it looks good. So we can move on and add the recycler view. And let me just check one thing. Yeah, we need to add something to our Gradle, a line, which I was forgetting about. So you can go inside here and below app content, just add this line, which is implementation, com Android Sport recycler view, and the code that I'm putting in here. I believe it can be 0.1.0, and I don't have the most updated app contact here, but I'll try to do it in the following lesson so that my GitHub is as updated as possible. So let's sync it now. Okay, after it has done syncing, we have the recycler view, and we can go back in here, close that, and simply say recycler view widget, and it will create it. So okay, let's say with match parents, height, wrap content, and that's it. We need an ID as well, so ID recycler view, and we're done with the layout. We can jump back into the activity and actually start working on the recycler view. So yeah, let's go right ahead and just simply create the variables for everything that we need right now. So mRecycler view, recycler view, mRecycler view. Make sure you import everything that you need. Alt enter enter. We'll need an adapter. So recycler view dot adapter and adapter. And I'll explain all of this in a quick second, so don't worry. Recycler view dot layout manager and layout manager. Okay. And now let's go right ahead. Actually, I forgot one, which is the edit text before all of that. So edit text and input. Now let's do the find view by ID for the m inputs. Find view by ID r.id.input. And let's do the button search as well. I'm sorry, I know this is a bit tedious, all these connecting things and whatever, but it is needed. This is how everything works, so we can go ahead without implementing these steps. So search. Okay, now the only find view by ID that's needed is the recycler view, which we already called. So recycler view equals to find view by ID r.id.recycler view. and we're done. Okay, so now we can actually start working on our recycler view and the components of the recycler view. So we can set a number of parameters that will allow us to make the recycler view work as we intended it to. So first of all, let's say the mRecycler view will have a nested scrolling enable set to false. So set nested scrolling enable set to false. This will allow us to have a fluid movement throughout the recycler view because it will be able to scroll up and down. Then we say set has fixed size to false. To false because we'll be moving around how many childs this recycler view will have depending on what we put into the edit text. Then we'll create a layout manager equals to new linear layout manager, get application. Then we attach this layout manager to our recycler view. Set layout manager to mLayout manager. Then we create the adapter, which will allow us to get the childs that we are going to place inside the recycler view. So users, and actually I made I forgot one big thing, which is we need to create the adapter. We can't just place an adapter that doesn't exist already. So let's put this on hold for now and let's create the adapter and everything that goes with it, so that we can actually place something inside the recycler view. So let's go in here and I'm going to create a new folder for this, new package rather, which we called recycler view follow. Yeah, we can call it that. And everything that has to do with the recycler view, I'm going to place it inside here. So first and foremost, we'll do the users object. And in this users object, and I'm going to assume you understand the basics of recycler view, so I'm not going to deal with classes and explaining all of this because that's a more basic part of Android development. So yeah, I'm going to skip through that. I'm sorry, but it is to cut some time. So in our object, we'll pass the email and the user ID for each user that we want to display. So we'll have the private email, and private, and I forgot to put string, so let's take care of it in a second. ID, and here the email is of the type string. We say public users object string email string UID. This dot email equals to email, and this dot UID equals to UID. Okay, so now we are able to call this and to pass along a new user that our adapter will be able to read and to attach to our recycler view. So now let's say public string get UID, and this is the function that we'll use to get the information for each and every single user. Return UID and public void set UID string UID, this dot UID equals to UID. Okay, so we can collapse that to make it more compact and simply copy and paste that and do the same thing for the email. So get email, 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 and email, and for the final one, let's place it here. Okay, so this is a class, and again, if you don't understand this, then please go ahead and check out or go through this lesson and try to understand it on your own. It isn't that hard, just that every user will have this user object attached to it so that we know, and that we can, that way we'll be able to have more than one information instead of like a list where we can only have like names and we'll have the name of the user 1, name of the user 2. With a class like this, we'll be able to have the UI, in this case the UID and the email inside the same node, which is extremely helpful. So I'm going to collapse that, and let's go ahead and take care of the recycler view holders now. So how we say, can be RC view holders. Okay, yes, edit. I'm going to open up right here, and in these RC view holders we'll have the objects that we'll have inside each and every single child of the recycler view. So we are going to create it right now, which is a layout that specifies everything that we'll have to create anytime we attach a user to the recycler view. So let's go right ahead and deal with it now. So recycler, and you can recycler view followers item. Okay, edit, and then go to text. Let's collapse this, change this to a linear layout, and now we'll simply have a text which will contain the user's email and the button that will allow us to follow or unfollow each and every single user. So let's take care of that right now. Text view. Wrap content, let's test it like this and we'll see how it fits. So let's say ID email, and we don't need a text, but we do need a padding and set a bigger text size. So text size 14 dp, I believe it will be enough. And now let's set the button for the follow and unfollow. So it is quite simple to understand why we need this layout. So anytime we add a user, as I was saying, let me just rephrase it again, we'll have this layout being created for each and every single user that we attach. So yeah, that's basically how it works. Wrap content, text, let's just say follow, even though we'll change this depending of if you are already following the user or not. Follow. And now let's use a trick that I like to use, which is to add a view, and you'll see it in a second. And this view will allow us to push this button to the end. So width will be 0 dp, 0 dp for the height again, and the weight will be 1. And as you can see, the button is pushed to the very end. Let's just say set a padding to 10 SP, just so that the button isn't touching the borders. And there we go. I believe we don't need anything else. Can go inside the RC view holders and simply pass on the objects with find view by IDs, so that we can get the objects from our adapter that we'll create next. So text view and email and public button and follow. Let's import the button again. Alt enter enter, and public users view holder. Not this one, actually it is RC view holder. It must match the name of our class. So yeah, we can say view item view, and we need to pass on this because the find view by ID doesn't quite match what we used to do. We must add another step. So let's say item view super item view, and the reason why we need this, and you'll see it in a second, is because we need to extend the recycler view holder. So let's go inside here, recycler view holder, and yeah, we can leave it at that. And when you add that, you'll see that the super item view error disappears, and we can go ahead and continue our process. So now we are going to add the find view by ID for the email and the follow equals to item view. That's the major difference, is that we can just add the find view by ID. We must add item view beforehand. r.id.email. Let's import this, import class. There we go. You can simply copy and paste that, and do the same for the follow button. Follow. Okay, so that's it for the view holders, and now let's take care of the adapter, which is the final piece of the puzzle that we must do right now. So RC adapter. Yes. Okay, and the adapter is what connects everything. So it is the adapter that chooses what we place inside our recycler view, and it is the adapter that controls it. So it is extremely important, an extremely important step. So we are going to extend a recycler view adapter, and let's pass on the RC view holders, and let's simply click Alt Enter to implement the methods related to this. Okay, and it will create everything for you. That is actually awesome. We don't need to write any of that. And now we'll need a list of the type users object, and this is the magic thing of the classes, that this way we only need one list, where otherwise we'll need two, because our list contains two data variables. So let's call it users list. Okay, we'll need the context, which we'll pass on in the moment that we call this adapter. So not right now, but we will in a second. And yeah, that's it. For now we won't need anything else. Then let's take care of actually calling these users adapters. So let's say public RC adapter actually. And to call this adapter, we only need to pass one variable, which is list users object user list, and let's pass on the context as well, just for good measure. I don't believe we'll need, but just if we and we must specify the variable context, just if we need to, for example, go to the user's page or wherever, it is always good to have the context with us. So this dot user list equals to user list, users list. And don't forget this dot user list is this one, which I made an error right there, users. Okay, and this users list is actually this users list is this one, and this users list is this one. Okay, and now let's do the same for the context. Simply copy and paste that right in there. Okay, and now we can take care of the onCreate view holder. View layout view equals to layout inflator, and we are going to inflate the recycler view followers item into our recycler view. From parent.getContext dot inflate our dot layout, not this one, so our dot layout, it is not wanting to do what I want it to, layout, and that's because I forgot to import tr. Okay, let's just close that up to give us some space. Dot recycler view followers item, and then common null. That's it, and now we simply create the new users view holder, better yet RC view holder. Let's call it RCV equals to new RC view holders layout view. And now instead of returning null, we are going to return this RCV. I know this sounds very complicated, but you don't really need to bother about this because this is the same for any time you create a recycler view. So yeah, don't bother for it. And now we get to the interesting part, which is the onBind view holder. And this onBind view holder will contain every detail about the view holder. So we can simply come in here and say holder.mEmail.setText userList.get position .get email, for example, and email with parentheses. This is a function after all, and what this does is it places the email that we have inside our users object inside the email, which is what we did right here in the view holders, which is our text view that contains the email for the user. So yeah, that's how it works, and I believe we are only going to set the adapter, connect the adapter right here. We don't have much time for anything else. It is getting quite long. So let's take care of the adapter, and in the next lesson we'll actually get the information from the edit text, and we search for the users. So let's say adapter equals to new RC adapter, and we are going to get the data set, which will be the list that we must pass on to the adapter. So we are going to create this method, and in here we'll need another variable of the type array list, private array list, and users object, and let's call it results, and these results will be the result of our listener that will try to get the users that we want from the database. So let's say new array list, close that out, and now in the data set it will not be void, it will return the list. So users object, and in here it will listen for data, which will create a function in the next lesson, and it will return the results inside here. Okay, after that simply say get application, because that's what we need to pass on in this function right here, and it is adapt. I made a typo, so I'll fix it when the lesson is over, don't bother about it. And then simply say mRecyclerView dot set adapter adapter, and that's it. I mean, there's our RecyclerView is ready to receive. I thought about in this lesson having everything, actually searching for the users and placing them on the database, on the RecyclerView and whatnot, but it is getting too long for this lesson, so I'll slice it into 2 lessons. That way it will be better for you guys. So yeah, I mean, that's all for now. I know this lesson is a bit tedious because it is about writing a lot of code without much logic, even though I talked about it in the beginning of the lesson. So, but yeah, don't worry, we'll tackle it in the next lesson. So yeah, thank you all very much for watching. I hope to see you again tomorrow, and ciao.
California dreaming about you.